Now, let's have a small discussion about how the interaction with video games media has become a lot more personal. Now, in the past, the main way to get information about video games was to walk into your local video game store. And doing so in the past was a very enjoyable experience, as most of you could often just strike up a conversation about games with the store employees or customers for about an hour or two, using the medium as an act of social experience. Another way to learn about video games in the past was to buy video game magazines, where in the past there was a large amount of reading material to choose from. But of course, with the passage of time, all things are subject to change. So of course, then the internet becomes a popular thing, and soon websites dedicated to video games began to pop up. And instead of spending money driving down to the store and buying a video game magazine, or having to wait a month for the next magazine in your subscription to show up at your house, video game information was now at your fingertips, providing a level of immediate access for gamers from the comfort of their own home. And what makes it even better is that all this content was technically free as long as you paid for the internet. And given since most people out there in the world are always looking for a way to save money, the switch between paperback games information and gaming websites was a logical step. GameStop has a bit of a difference here with their Game Informer magazine, but to anyone who has visited a GameStop, they know just how hard they push that publication down your throat. If anything, you probably signed up for it just not to have them ask you that question anymore. I mean, I have a subscription to Game Informer that I don't even receive anymore, as in the past 2 years I've moved a couple of times. So who knows which of my previous addresses is still receiving that publication. But with the rise of video game websites such as IGN, The Escapist, GameSpot, and to a lesser degree Kotaku, which seems to split their dedication between video games and otaku culture, we have seen a rise in the flood of information and how video games are being reported on. In this day and age, it's very common for leaks of game footage and gems of the game to be spoiled before the game even releases. But once again, with the passage of time, it seems that even more things are changing, because over the last 8 years or so, there has been a rise of the YouTuber, specifically YouTubers who discuss video games, a la your Total Biscuit, your Angry Joe, your Boogie2988, and many others. While which have a lot to do with their personality in gaming. And by that I mean, unlike your gaming websites where you would just read an article and probably not pay attention to who the author was, now it's more likely you will know the name of your favorite YouTuber. Now, in the mind of consumers of such media, it would be more about the game and not about the person talking about it. But for the large fan bases of YouTube, the dynamic is more switched, where it seems to be more about the personality talking about the game than about the game itself, or just as much. A lot of people who invest time to subscribe and keep coming back to a certain YouTuber feel more of a personal connection and trust with that personality. Now, this has very much to do with the time invested or the type of content, because I think it's fair to say that the more time you spend watching a certain YouTuber and getting used to his voice, the more you wouldn't mind coming back to him on a regular basis and listening to his opinions on such. Now, one website has done a good job as in terms of synergy with gaming websites and videos, and that's The Escapist. So it would become a lot easier for you to know the names of a Jim Sterling or a Yahtzee. And as we have seen in the past with gaming incidents, people often feel personally involved with video game characters, so it would stand to reason that the same could be said for gaming personalities and the loyalty that they garner from their audience. And on top of that, well, the PC side of things, just recently, Steam revealed that they have over 100 million active accounts. So it's easy to say that, well, it's a very popular gaming distribution system, and as such, we get an interesting bit of information from them. You see, just recently, the Steam Juggernaut released their Steam Curator system, where anyone can have their own page that suggests the type of games that they think others should buy. Now, it can go without saying that the person on top of such a list probably has a certain amount of consumer trust. Keep in mind that term, consumer trust, because I will be probably doing a video on it later on in the future. So looking at Steam, which gaming site is at the top? And amazingly enough, it's not a gaming site, it's a YouTube personality, none other than Total Biscuit. Now, some of you may think that this doesn't mean much, but when a person asks you to invest your time to do anything, how many of you actually do it? To literally go and click on a page that isn't even related to the site that you're currently on and didn't subscribe to them, that act requires a lot of consumer trust. Now granted, there's a lot of factors here that can come into play, like the fact that Total Biscuit registers as a primarily PC gamer, hence you think he'd have a stronger relation to the PC gaming audience, which Steam tends to have a large foundation in, if not just a 100% following in. But just for reference, let's look at a few other curator pages. Now, IGN at the moment has around 3,000 subscribers, GameSpot has around 2,000 subscribers, and the YouTube personality Total Biscuit has around 240,000 subscribers, which is fucking absurd, really. The fact that he is almost able to triple the second place, which is PC Gamer, is lunacy. And the third, which is a surprise in itself, being another personality in the form of Jim Sterling, a member of The Escapist. So the top three choices are, you have a YouTube personality, a gaming website, and a Jim Sterling, who for the most part is a synergy of both, being that he advertises mostly on The Escapist. Anyway, I've talked too long. Anytime a video of mine goes over 5 minutes, I think that's way too longer than I need to be talking. If you wish me to continue this line of discussion, just say so. But for the most of you, you know my channel's pretty random, and I just say whatever comes to my head, and that'll be the next video.